Dear students, now we are going to begin with a new chapter, that is Environmental Issues, chapter number 16. In this chapter, we are going to first of all study that what is pollution and what are pollutants. After discussing about different types of pollution, after discussing about what is pollution, we are going to discuss about different types of pollution, that is air pollution, water pollution, these pollutions, and we are also going to discuss about the ways in which the pollution can be reduced, or what are the steps that are being taken by the government in order to reduce the pollution and the number of the pollutants. So we are going to discuss all the methods in detail. So let us today start with the introduction of the chapter, environmental issues. Now we already know that the population is day by day increasing, and over 100 of years we know that the population has increased enormously. With the increase in this population, the requirement of the individuals has also increased. The requirement of food, the requirement of home, requirement of other facilities has increased. And due to increase in these requirements, there is an pressure that is being exerted on the natural resources. And therefore, the natural resources are being depleted at a very high speed. If we are not concerned about the depletion of the natural resources at this time, it can happen that in few next years there would be a complete loss of the natural resources, without which the humans will also not be able to survive. So it is very important to keep a check on the degradation and the depletion of these natural resources. And we need to find out the measures by which the use of this natural resources can be minimized. So here in the introduction we have mentioned certain points. The first thing is that the human population size. So population size has grown enormously over last hundreds of years. So population over last hundreds of years is increasing at a very high speed. And therefore there is an increased demand for food, water, home, electricity, road, automobiles and numerous other commodities. So there are several things which are required in very large amount. That is the requirement of the houses, the requirement of the food, the requirement of other facilities, automobiles, roads, everything has been increased. These demands, that is increase in these all demands, is going to exert a tremendous pressure on our natural resources. And therefore, the natural resources are being consumed rapidly, and thus there is a contribution to the pollution of air, water and soil. So these all usage of the natural resources, their depletion, their degradation has an adverse effect on the soil, the land, the water, that is the air also. So therefore, the pollution is being increasing day by day. So it is important to check the degradation and the depletion of all these natural resources, by which we can protect, we can conserve whatever natural resources we are having, and we can utilize them judicially. So here, what is pollution? So first of all, we need to understand that what does pollution mean? Pollution is a type of an undesirable change, an undesired change that is occurring in the physical, chemical and biological characters of environmental air, water, soil or you can say land. So there is an undesirable change happening. Whether that undesirable change is physical, it can even be biological, it can even be chemical change. So presence of several chemicals on soil, that is insecticides and pesticides, are responsible for soil pollution. Large heaps of the dust, large heaps of the rubbish, the garbage that is present in the soil is responsible for what? Soil pollution. Same way we already know that our river waters are being enormously polluted by the chemicals that are being released from the industries, as well as several human purposes also, which are directly discarding the waste in the river water. So soil water pollution also is very common, and air pollution, we already know that automobiles contribute to the highest air pollution. So we know that there is an undesirable change that is occurring in the land, in the water, in the air. And all these changes are ultimately going to harm what? They are ultimately going to harm the humans, that is the mankind, and they are going to harm the rest of the organisms. So here, next what is written is the pollutants. What is a pollutant? A substance that is responsible for causing a pollution is known as a pollutant. So the definition is the agents that bring about such undesirable changes. So all these undesirable changes are due to some substances. So these substances which are responsible for this undesirable change are known as pollutants. So pollutants are those chemical substances or those substances which are harming our environmental natural resources. The government of India has passed on an act which is known as Environmental Protection Act, given in the year 1986. The Environmental Protection Act was being implemented in order to protect our environment. What measures can be taken to protect the environment? Whether it is air pollution or soil pollution or it is the noise pollution. What can be the measures that can be taken to reduce this pollution? That is the Environmental Protection Act, and it was given in 1986. It was given to protect and improve the quality of our environment, because this is the environment, this is the surroundings in which we live. And if these are going to be polluted, there are going to be several issues to the humans. That is, increase in the respiratory disorders, and with the increase in respiratory disorders, there can be several other effects of the pollution on the humans as well as on the animals. Even aquatic animals suffer a lot due to the water pollution. So it is important to take proper measures to reduce this pollutants and to reduce the pollution to save our environment. So pollution, it can be both. Natural pollution can also occur, which we cannot stop, and there can be anthropogenic, that is man-made pollution. Natural pollution is the one which is inevitable. For example, there is the presence of the dust particles in the air, which we cannot avoid. Other than that, there is release of methane from the chimneys. Another than that, it is release of methane from the paddy fields also. Because in paddy fields also a large amount of methane gas is released. So that is one of the pollutant. Soil erosion can occur, volcanic eruptions. These are some of the natural pollutants which we cannot avoid. But there are large number of anthropogenic pollutants. Anthropogenic pollution includes the sewage that is from each and every house. It also includes the mining activities. The mining activities which are being done for the extraction of different minerals. So mining activities, burning of the fossil fuels, or you can say incomplete combustion of the fossil fuels also is responsible for emitting harmful gases in the surroundings. Noise. These are some of the examples. Other than that, there are so many man-made pollutants and pollution that are occurring, and these are often they can be avoided, but we are not using all these substances, natural resources judiciously, and therefore it can happen that the pollution will be increasing day by day. So as we said that with the increase in the population, the natural resources are being used up very rapidly. With the increase in the use of the natural resources, there is even increase in the pollution. So pollution was an undesirable change, any physical, chemical or biological change that is going to affect the soil, water and land. And any of the substance that is responsible, whether it is substance, whether it is any chemical component which is responsible for causing this pollution is known as a pollutant. So we have discussed that what is pollution and what is pollutant. We also said that pollution can be either natural or it can be anthropogenic. So some of the pollution like volcanic eruptions or the dust that is in the air or the methane gas released in the paddy fields are some of the examples of natural pollution. But most of the pollution that happen in the nature, that happen in the surroundings are the anthropogenic pollution, in which the automobiles and the vehicular exhaust, these all take a very important role in creating the pollution. So pollution can be of either air, either it can be of water or it can be even on the land. So here we are going to first of all discuss that what can be the types of pollution, that is the types of pollutants which cause the pollution. So classification of pollutants is something that we are going to discuss right now. Pollutant, a substance or a chemical that has a potential to adversely affect the humans, natural resources and environment. So what is a pollutant? Pollutant is any substance or any chemical that is responsible for having an potential to adversely affect. So it is going to adversely affect whom? Affect the humans, affect the animals, affect the environment, affect our surroundings. So that is known as a pollutant. So pollutants are being classified here into three major types. The first is on the basis of the nature. Depending on the nature of the pollutant are of two types. On the basis of nature of pollutant, the pollutant are of two types. That is primary pollutants and the secondary pollutant. Primary pollutant is the one which remains in the same form as they are passed into it. मतलब जिस फॉर्म में वो एनवायरमेंट में आया है वो उसी फॉर्म में रहेगा और कोई भी फॉर्म में चेंज होगा नहीं. ऐसे पोल्यूटेंट जो कोई भी सोर्सेज से रिलीज तो हुए हैं but they do not get modified or they do not get changed. They remain persistent in the form in which they were actually were. These are DDT. DDT does not undergo any changes. Carbon dioxide at higher level, CO2 can also be considered as a pollutant. SO2 and fly ash. These are some of the examples of the primary pollutants. मतलब pollutants nature में आने के बाद अगर बिल्कुल भी change नहीं हो रहे and they remain as it is, such pollutants are primary pollutants. दूसरे होते हैं secondary pollutants. Secondary pollutants मतलब these are the pollutants which are formed by the combination of several primary pollutants. मतलब प्राइमरी पोल्यूटेंट्स के अंदर कोई रिएक्शन होने से या तो फिर उनके कोई दूसरे कॉम्बिनेशन से जब दूसरे पोल्यूटेंट बनते हैं तो उन्हें हम कहते हैं सेकेंडरी पोल्यूटेंट. सो दे आर फॉर्म्ड बाय रिएक्शन अमॉन्ग प्राइमरी पोल्यूटेंट्स. फॉर एग्जांपल ओजोन एंड PAN. PAN stands for peroxyacyl nitrates. So peroxyacyl nitrates are formed by the reaction between nitrogen oxide and hydrocarbons. So NO and hydrocarbons इनके combination से बनता है PAN, peroxyacyl nitrate, and that is one of the major air pollutant present in the environment. तो ये एक ऐसा pollutant है जो naturally exist नहीं करता, but due to some synergistic activity between primary pollutants, a new pollutant has formed which is the secondary pollutant. It is formed in presence of sunlight and it is comparatively more harmful than the primary pollutants. जो primary pollutants होते हैं उनसे ज्यादा harmful होते हैं secondary pollutants और वो हमें ज्यादा affect करते हैं. तो एक on the basis of nature दो तरह के pollutants हो गए. एक कौन से हो गए? Primary pollutant और एक हो गए secondary pollutant. Now next is depending upon their quantity. क्वांटिटी के बेसिस पे भी दो तरह के पोल्यूटेंट्स हैं. एक है क्वालिटेटिव पोल्यूटेंट और एक है क्वांटिटेटिव पोल्यूटेंट. क्वालिटेटिव पोल्यूटेंट, द क्वालिटेटिव पोल्यूटेंट्स नेचुरली एनवायरमेंट में प्रेजेंट होते नहीं है. दे आर नॉट प्रेजेंट इन द एनवायरमेंट नेचुरली बट दे आर प्रेजेंट इन द एनवायरमेंट ड्यू टू सम ह्यूमन एक्टिविटी. तो ह्यूमन एक्टिविटी की वजह से वो पोल्यूटेंट नेचर में एग्जिस्ट हो रहा है, वरना वो नेचर में नेचुरली प्रेजेंट नहीं होता. जैसे कि DDT एंड अदर पेस्टिसाइड्स. पेस्टिसाइड्स कह दो, हर्बिसाइड्स, फंजीसाइड्स, वीडीसाइड्स, ये जो सब्सटेंसेस होते हैं वो नेचुरल पोल्यूटेंट्स नहीं है। ये ऐसे पोल्यूटेंट्स हैं जो हमने हमारी कोई एक्टिविटी की वजह से डेवलप किए हैं। तो ये पोल्यूटेंट्स जो होते हैं उन्हें कहते हैं क्वालिटेटिव पोल्यूटेंट्स। दूसरे आते हैं क्वांटिटेटिव पोल्यूटेंट। क्वांटिटेटिव मतलब ऐसे पोल्यूटेंट्स जो एक लेवल से ज्यादा अगर एनवायरमेंट में हो तो ही वो पोल्यूटेंट में कंसिडर किए जाते हैं। मीन्स दे आर नेचुरली ऑल्सो प्रेजेंट बट दे आर प्रेजेंट एट अ लो अमाउंट। इफ देयर लेवल इंक्रीजेस बियॉन्ड द थ्रेशहोल्ड वैल्यू ओनली देन दे कैन बी कंसिडर्ड एज पोल्यूटेंट। और उनमें आ जाता है कार्बन मोनोऑक्साइड और कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड। The third type of pollutants, that is depending upon the degradability. Depending upon whether these pollutants can be degraded in the nature or are not being degraded, they are again divided into two types: degradable pollutants and the non-degradable pollutants. Degradable pollutants मतलब ऐसे pollutants जो नेचर में either due to heat, either due to sunlight or either due to some microorganisms ये खुद से ही डिग्रेड हो सकते हैं। अगर वो डिग्रेड हो सकते हैं then it is fine because they are going to cause less damage to the environment. जैसे कि सीवेज, हमारा जो हाउस होल्ड वेस्ट होता है, सीवेज वेस्ट, राइट, दैट इज द डिग्रेडेबल पोल्यूटेंट। अदर देन दैट लाइव स्टॉक वेस्ट, जो एनिमल वेस्ट होता है वो भी एक तरह का डिग्रेडेबल वेस्ट है, क्योंकि माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिजम्स जो होते हैं दे आर इंडल्ज्ड इन दिस सीवेज ट्रीटमेंट प्लांट्स इन विच दे कैन डिग्रेड सच टाइप ऑफ वेस्ट। पर ऐसे भी वेस्ट होते हैं जो नॉन डिग्रेडेबल होते हैं, मतलब वो कोई भी नेचुरल फैक्टर से या तो माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिज्म से भी डिग्रेड नहीं होते हैं। जैसे कि डीडीटी डिग्रेड होता ही नहीं है, इंस्टेड वो एनवायरमेंट में एम्प्लीफाई हो जाता है आफ्टर गेटिंग इनटू द वाटर बॉडीज। एम्प्टी कैन्स होते हैं या तो फिर दूसरा कोई प्लास्टिक वेस्ट होता है, ये ऐसे सब्सटेंसेस हैं जो डिग्रेड नहीं होते। तो डिग्रेड नहीं होते इसीलिए वो ज्यादा हार्म करते हैं बिकॉज दे रिमेन परसिस्टेंट इन द नेचर फॉर अ लॉन्ग पीरियड ऑफ टाइम। तो यहाँ पे स्टूडेंट्स हमने देखा दैट दिस वाज द क्लासिफिकेशन ऑफ द पॉल्यूटेंट्स। तो पॉल्यूटेंट्स जो होते हैं वो ऐसे सब्सटेंसेस होते हैं जो पोल्यूशन कॉज करते हैं, और ये जो पॉल्यूटेंट्स हैं वो तीन तरह के हो गए। एक कैसे हो गए, ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ द नेचर, जिसे हमने कहा प्राइमरी पोल्यूटेंट और सेकेंडरी पोल्यूटेंट। दूसरा हमने कहा ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ द क्वांटिटी, जो हमने कहा क्वालिटेटिव पोल्यूटेंट्स एंड क्वांटिटेटिव पोल्यूटेंट। और थर्ड हमने कह दिया डिपेंडिंग अपॉन द डिग्रेडेबिलिटी, और उसमें आते हैं डिग्रेडेबल पोल्यूटेंट्स और non-degradable pollutants. So students, next topic that we are going to discuss is about the air pollution.